My personal experience with the hospital is my daughter Holly has had a few fairly significant eye surgeries at sick kids. My daughter Jocelyn has had kidney issues. My wife and I, our first child passed away in a Children's Miracle Hospital in Toronto, and it's difficult for me to go there. I'm always drawn to the NICU unit. I wind up standing in front of the door of the room that we lost Alyssa in. I was standing in front of the door, and a nurse walked by, and she said, "Are you okay?" And I didn't realize, but I was crying. I had tears streaming down my face. And she asked me if I wanted to go into the room where we lost Alyssa. And I said, yeah, I had never set foot back in that same room. When you talk about sacred ground, this place is sacred ground. She was actually a nurse who was there when we lost Alyssa, which was astounding. It's been 15 years. And it just came to me that we should do something bigger than what we already do for CMN. The whole idea for the trip came about because we were sitting in the house in 2010, middle of summer. My daughter looked at me and said, "Dad, when I'm 12, can you take me on a motorcycle trip?" And I'd done that all my life. I'd been a motorcyclist, and I thought, that's cute. Where do you want to go? Montreal? He said, "I want to go to Costa Rica." I thought, Costa Rica? I can go there. I can do that. Right before the journey, I contacted a friend at RE/MAX head office in Ontario. His name's David Brown. And I said to Dave, I need a flag. I want a big RE/MAX flag. I have an idea to raise some money for Sick Kids Hospital and Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And 2 days later, box arrives filled with RE/MAX stuff, hats and shirts and everything, and this gorgeous big flag. And the idea was to take the flag and visit RE/MAX offices on the way south. Pop in, ask for donations, and if they donated to the cause, they could sign the flag.
So I would get a notification every time there was a donation made and send out a little thank you and post something on the Motorcycle for Miracles, the group on Facebook, and kept the blog going on the website, and just kept everything kind of accurate. I would update the map so people could always see exactly where Bruce was the night before and how much progress he was making and what was ahead.
At the very, very end of coming to Costa Rica, that moment of arriving at our destination with Holly, it was one of the greatest joys of my life. And it was a very emotional arrival, and Mary was there and Jocelyn there waiting for us.
They pulled into the driveway and we just all started like weeping and so happy, and we were hugging. I missed them a lot because Holly and I are really close, and I missed my dad a lot too.
We did it!
We did it!
We wanted to raise $25,000 for sick kids and Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And by the time we got to Mexico City, we did an event, and maybe 100 people in the room. And the owner of RE/MAX Mexico, Sergio Figueres, he stood up at the end of it and he said, "Bruce, how far away are you monetarily?" And I had to think about it, and I thought, well, around 23,000, I think. He announced to the room, he said, "You've achieved your goal, you're there." It exploded from that point, but that reaching 25,000 was very significant for us because it took a lot of pressure off me, actually, because leaving home, I didn't know if we'd get anywhere near $25,000. I would say to Holly as we would go into a RE/MAX office, "What are we gonna do with this flag?" And she'd say, "We're gonna take it on stage at RE/MAX convention." That was our goal. Nobody ever invited us to go on. It was just something that I really wanted to do, and I'm a big believer in positive imagery, and so we talk about this all the time. One of the great surprises of my life, it's the next day is the RE/MAX convention starting, and at 1 o'clock in the morning, the light goes on in my room, and I open my eyes and I'm looking into the face of my youngest daughter Jocelyn and my wife Mary. RE/MAX had flown them out there to surprise us.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Bruce and Holly Johnson.
And we speak with Gail and we talk about the trip a little bit, and we give her the flag, and she turns around and says, "I'm honored, thank you very much, we appreciate the gift of this flag. However, we have a great idea for the flag. Why don't we put it in the Big Give auction?" And our flag was to be featured, and so we're on stage, and I said, "Well, Gail, that sounds wonderful, let's do that. We'll raise more money for the foundation."
I was on the stage next to the auctioneer, and he had surprised me, and he had called me up onto the stage, and he was like, "Okay, so now we're gonna get a little help from Holly to help the bids get higher."
The auction starts off, I think it started at $3,000, and nobody bid. I'm standing at the front with my daughter Jocelyn, and we're holding the flag, and then the bidding started to pick up, and I was relieved. It got to $3,000 or $4,000, and I was thrilled. Gets to $8,000, $10,000, $15,000, my tears started coming, I could hardly breathe. $20,000, $22,000, $25,000, $27,000. We get to $28,000, $29,000, and it's bidding just between two groups now, and I'm having a hard time seeing who's who through my tears and through the crowd, and people are crying everywhere now, and it's a very emotional moment. So the bidding went to $30,000 and sold. So they had Holly come back on stage and actually physically say sold. So she got to sell the flag. And I'm folding up the flag, and I'm actually really sad because a lot of work went into this flag, and I didn't know if it was going to Arkansas or Alaska. And a friend runs up to me and says, "Oh my gosh, Bruce, Dave Brown bought your flag." And I said, "Dave Brown's not gonna spend 30 grand on this flag." She goes, "You don't understand. Remax Ontario Atlantic bought your flag." And it took a moment for that to settle in. And Dave Brown walked over to my family, and we hugged, and I'm absolutely stunned at what's going on. And I hand Dave the flag, and Dave immediately takes the flag for about 3 seconds, and he hands it right back to me, and he says, no, this is not leaving your family. This is for you and Holly." My family will never forget that moment, ever, ever. I came back in winter. Apparently it's not a good idea to ride a motorcycle in winter. There's snow, and there's extreme cold, and it's really not that fun. Rode across the Midwest, and on an angle that was taking me back into winter. I rode up to Denver, and at the international headquarters, they have these double doors, and my contact, Mike Reagan there, said, "Well, you gotta bring the bike inside." And I said, "You're kidding." He goes, no, we got a spot for you inside. So Gail asked me if we could get a hold of Holly. Gail Lininger took the time to think of this. And so I was showing Holly around the room, and all these people all waving and yelling at her and congratulating her on the trip, and that was great. From Detroit, the last couple legs of the trip were insanely cold. I had minus 24 one night Celsius. That was one of the coldest starts I think a motorcycle will ever have. And then I rode up back to Sick Kids and on to home. From the day that we left the front foyer of Sick Kids Hospital, Holly and myself, I knew months later it would be a very emotional return. There's a moment where I'm riding through the streets of Toronto, and I look up and I can see between two of the towers, I could see the Sick Kids Hospital emblem, and I got really emotional. As I pulled into the front driveway of Sick Kids Hospital, I was already overcome, and then everybody poured out of the doors, and the welcome home was amazing. I had all kinds of friends and family there from all over the place. And our dream now is to turn our journey into a fundraising vehicle for Children's Miracle Network hospitals all over North America. The idea would be to have a Motorcycle for Miracles annual rally one day a year to celebrate what an incredible facility we have in Toronto and Los Angeles and Houston and Denver, all these great cities that have these amazing hospitals, because there's kids in there that the general public can't imagine what they're going through. And the families of those children are suffering too. This is the great thing about Sick Kids and Children's Miracle Network. They tend to wrap their wings around these families. They did it for ours. They just make all the external stuff go away so you can focus on getting your child better. If people have never had the opportunity, I highly recommend they arrange a tour and go and visit a children's hospital. It will change your life.